by our colleague. She's 28 years old. By the second half of this year, she will be 29. And that one is Fatu, the daughter of Najin. This year, she would be an adult, 18 years old, the golden age for the rhino. And beside them, it's a southern white rhino. He is tall. In the local language, it means the friend. Now, we should keep a safety distance from them. It should be more than 7 meters. Today, the stars of our report, the northern white rhinos. Before entering into the topic, I'd like to give you some basic information. Why they are called northern white rhinos? It's not because their skin color that they are called white rhinos. The naming of the animals in African language, the local language, because they are square-lipped, which is wit in local language. The first foreigner has misunderstood the word wit into white. So later on, it's named after northern white rhino. Actually, the northern white rhino has the biggest size among the 5 species of the rhinos. And on the planet, on the continent, is the second largest animal, just after the elephant. Today, we have also invited the colleague, Zachariah, who worked in this Pegeta Conservancy and who takes care 24 hours a day of these 2 northern white rhinos.
Let's move here. Okay, so it's better we swap. 好，为了和这个犀牛近距离的接触，Zachariah呢，他建议我们这个蹲下来。Zachariah呢
In order to have a closer contact with the rhino, we should kneel down. My friend started to work in the conservancy starting by 2009. To him, the northern whites are like his children. He knows a lot of things about the northern whites.
Zachariah 介绍的第一个区别呢，关于北方白犀牛和南方白犀牛呢，就是。
The first difference between the northern and the southern white rhino. At first glance, you will see the differences with their ears. For the northern one, there are furs, a lot of mud on it too. And for the southern ones, they don't have the fur. And normally for the southern ones, they are bigger in size than the northern ones. And also, according to my knowledge, the skin of the northern ones is tougher than the southern ones. Very hard at the touch. And for southern white rhinos, their skins are more clean. Currently, because they are raised in the wild, due to the security reason, we should not be too close to them. The name of the southern is Towel. In local language, it means friend. As we can see, for both northern and southern white rhinos, they have horns. Each has 2 horns. For the northern whites, in order to protect them, so we have cut off one part of the horns. Usually, for the former horn, it could be as long as 1 meter.
ears, what other differences are there between the southern and the northern?
So if also you can look at the height, the southern white rhino, they are a little bit taller in size. And if you look at the level from shoulder towards the tail of southern white rhino, it's almost same level. Look at that height from shoulder towards the tail is same level, but
Same level.
and the northern white rhino, whenever they are standing up, the height slope down from shoulder towards the tail.
Zachariah 他介绍呢，就是南方白犀牛它的这个顶部、背部啊，基本上是平滑的。
According to the introduction, for the southern ones,
但是北方白犀牛呢
it's level on the back,
走
so it's on a level
这个部分呢会更高
line.
越往后呢
For the northern white rhino, from shoulder to tail, it's declining. There's a decline from shoulder to tail.
Also, if you look at their horns, the southern white rhino, they have got the southern white rhino have got pointed horns because she's white, so she know how to sharpen every often. But this northern white rhino, they were in a zoo for a long time, so they don't really sharpen their horns that often. But they have got to learn to sharpen by staying with the southern white rhinos.
Zachariah 介绍呢，就是这两头北方的白犀牛，它们的脚呢，就是不是那么
According to
尖
the
锐，因为它们是长期
introduction,
生活在动物
for
园
those
而
two
通过
northern white rhinos, their horns are not so pointed because they are living in the zoo. Before coming to Kenya, they used to live in the zoo for a long period of time in artificial environment. They couldn't have the means to sharpen their horns. But for the southern white rhinos, because they live in the wild, they have the trees to sharpen their horns. That's why their horns are more pointed.
野外，全世界是共有
And another
28000
set of statistics
多头
to share
犀
with
牛
you. Currently in the wild, in
白
the
犀牛是占到了
world,
2万多头
we have
黑犀牛呢有
28,000
但这个白犀牛的
rhinos,
绝大部分
among which
南方白犀牛
20,000
白犀牛呢
are white rhinos, but most of them are southern white rhinos.
可以说是一个
On the
很
whole
上的
planet, there are only
就
two
在
northern white rhinos left. They are Najin and Fatu
金和法
beside me.
他们的
It's a
这个
very
性
sad
质是
reality.
亲戚
Not
纳
long
金的爸
before,
爸苏丹呢
the
在3
relative
月份的19号当地时间就是被
of Najin and Fatu, and also the father of Najin and grandfather of
45岁
Fatu,
这个年龄呢对于新的白
Sudan,
犀牛
his
是高
name
龄
Sudan, has been put down the 19th of March 2018. He died at the age of 45. Actually, it's already an elderly age for a rhino. Usually, their lifespan is 35 years old to 40 years old.
相当于是人类的9
So
岁
for Sudan, who died at the age of 45, he is already elderly for the rhino
北方
years.
白犀牛灭绝的
It's about 90 years
大家
old
看到
for a human
狩猎者
being.
其实盯上的这个目标呢
And
都是
poaching is an
因为犀牛
important
头上的
factor
两
to
个角
cause the
有一些
extinction
国
of
家
the
和人
northern
相
white
信这个犀牛
rhinos.
角啊是一种医药的
The
成分
reason
在一
to
些国家呢
cause the
这个角呢
poaching
又会被用来当
is
做这个匕首的手
the
柄
horns. To some
像纳金和
countries,
法图以及
they
苏
think
丹
that
曾经的兄弟姐
the
妹
horns of the
北方白
northern
犀牛
white
啊
rhinos
在非洲曾经是遍布
are
在
good
乌干达
material for their
非洲
traditional
和
medicine,
苏
and
丹
in some
沙
other
俄
countries,
在
they
上
are
个世纪
used
的60
for
年代呢
the
曾经是
making
有过
of
2000
dagger
多头
handle.
这样
In
子
Sudan, Chad,
而且还是野生的
and
但是到了
in
上个世纪
Central
70、80年代的
African
时候呢
Republic
因为
and
这
in
个
other
狩猎的
African
潮
countries, there were a lot of wild
绝
northern
大
white
部分的这个
rhinos.
野生
However,
北方的
starting by
白犀牛
1970s
都
and
没有战
1980s, there is a
而
big
这个1973年初
trend of
苏丹啊
poaching, and most of
可以说
the
是
northern white rhinos
万幸他躲过了
have
这
been
个
killed.
狩猎的这个命运在苏丹2岁也就
So for Sudan, who was born in the year 1973, he has escaped rounds and rounds of poaching,
然后
and
再
he
介绍一下
survived
就是
until
这
the
个
age of
北方白犀牛的
45.
一个灭绝史在21世纪的时候呢在
Another introduction on the extinction history of the northern white rhinos.
但是因为这
Starting
个
by
国
the
家的一些
21st century,
内乱
in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, there are still dozens of northern white
无
rhinos. However, due to the civil wars inside the country, the total population of the northern white rhinos in the Democratic Republic of the Congo have been killed. And then to the year 2009, there are only 4 northern white rhinos survived, among which 2 are females and 2 males. And they have been moved from one zoo in the Czech Republic to Kenya. For the zoo in the Czech Republic, they wanted to use the natural reproduction. However, this method didn't work out. So they have decided to move those 4 rhinos back to their original habitat in Africa. In 2009, the 4 northern whites, including Sudan, Najin, and Fatu, have been moved to the Old Pejeta Conservancy in Kenya. Unluckily, the 4th northern white died. So by that time, Sudan has become the last male northern white. And the fate of Sudan is not that good. Last month, due to the illness, he has been put down. Currently on this planet, there are only northern white rhinos left, and both of them are females. One is the daughter of Sudan. Her name is Najin, and another is the daughter of Najin and also the granddaughter of Sudan, that is Fatu. Sadly, the horns of the northern white rhinos brought by the poachers are not that effective. They are not so effective to be used as the traditional medicine for the treatment of illness. They are generally the same component as the nails of the human beings. And now I'd like to give you a video clip to show you the image, the last male northern white, Sudan. So I'd like to give you this video clip.
苏丹呢，可以说是世界上最有名的犀牛。在1975年的时候呢，
Sudan is actually the most famous rhino in the world. In 1975, he was captured, and then he has spent most time of his life in the zoo. That's why he has successfully escaped the fate of being poached, while the others of his family killed. He survived, and he has been transported together with 3 other members, relatives of his family, back to Kenya. He spent the last 9 years of his life, and that is the period while he is the closest to nature and to his habitat. However, later, there's the skin wounds happened to Sudan, and he's also suffering from the degenerative illness. After the efforts of the vets, we had to euthanize Sudan.
And on March 29th, in Old Pejeta Conservancy, the veterinary team decided to euthanize him. And at the age of 45, which is equal to about 94 humans' age, and the demise of Sudan meant the northern white rhinos is one step closer to extinction, which has roused the attention of the world. And now I'd like to have a talk with Zachariah, the caretaker of Sudan in his last days.
Can you tell us what kind of rhino was Sudan? What kind of rhino?
We had 4 northern white rhinos which came to Old Pejeta in 2009. So we had Sudan and Sunni they were two northern males, yes. Sudan and Sunni, and we have Najin and Fatu, which are the two northern females.
Yes.
So by 2014, we lost Sunni, who died of natural cause. He died when he was 36. So the only one which was left was Sudan, of which recently we lost Sudan at the age of 45. And Sudan was a very friendly rhino. He was used to people. He was so gentle to everyone.
我想先跟大家介绍一下，刚才扎卡利亚呢也是重复了我之前介绍的内容，就是2009年的时候，苏丹呢。
So translate what Zakaria just said, and he repeated what I said in 2008. Sudan, together with another rhino named Sunni, and two female white rhinos came to Kenya from Czech, and Sudan died at the age of 45, and he said Sudan was very gentle and friendly.
What I can say about Sudan was that he was a real ambassador to all other rhinos on the planet. People kill rhinos because of their horns and nothing else apart from the horns. And rhino horn is made of keratin. It's just like a fingernails material. So we don't have to kill them, but we have to conserve. And we are creating awareness for the future generation of our children. So we don't have to kill, but we need to conserve. And rhino horn does not contain any medicinal values.
Can you tell us more personal stories of you and Sudan?
Yeah, Sudan was my favorite rhino among the four. He was so gentle. Most of my time, I spent most of my time with him, stroking him, feeding him, and making sure that he was well fed and make sure that he's healthy in all body conditions.
扎卡利亚他说呢，苏丹就相当于是他的一个朋友，非常亲近的人，就是他在过去的9年。
Zakaria said Sudan was his close friend. In the past 9 years, he had been taking care of Sudan.
We used to feed Sudan with extra supplements like carrots, 3 kgs of carrots. We feed with two pieces of bananas, half bale of lucerne, that is alfalfa, and alfalfa, that is lucerne. It's a special treat. But naturally, he got used to introduce to feed himself after staying with the southern white rhino. So carrots, bananas, and pellets were extra supplements. Yeah.
What's the main food for them?
Yeah, the main food of rhinos are grass. The main food for rhinos are grass.
Like what we can see here?
Yes.
Okay. And how many kilograms can they eat per day?
Yeah, a rhino can eat up to 45 kilograms per day. Up to 40 to 45 kilograms per day.
And then add 3 more kgs of carrots and pellets.
Yeah, those was extra supplements, and we used to supplement them once in a day. So the rest of their time they graze by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
他说呢，这些北方白犀牛，包括苏丹生前哈，他们平常的主食呢，就是我们看到的这个草原上的绿草。
Zakaria said the northern white rhinos, including Sudan when he was alive, mainly ate grass, and daily they could consume 40 to 45 kilograms of grass. And to maintain health, they also provide extra supplements, including 3 kilos of carrots, alfalfa, and grass pellets, which was specially made by nutritionists.
Yeah, it was a great sadness. It was a great sadness to all keepers, to all vegetator, and the whole world. He was the most famous rhino on the planet.
扎卡利亚说，就是苏丹的死对于所有的饲养员，对于这个阿尔佩杰塔自然保护区域。
Zakaria said the demise of Sudan to all keepers at the Opajeta Conservancy and to the world was a saddening news. And Zakaria was with Sudan, and to the end, it was a very big shock to him. After all, they were together for 9 years.
And he was undergoing treatment. So because of old age, the situation of treatment didn't work well because of old age. So at some point he didn't manage to walk up himself due to having a problem with her legs, and he developed lots of sores on his body. So he was feeling a lot of pain, and that was the last decision was made to euthanize him.
So even it's sad, but it's a mercy decision for him.
It was really sad to keep an animal like that, which was 45 years old, and he wasn't able to walk up, and he was in pain. So the solution was just only to be euthanized. Yeah.
Is it okay for you to describe how this euthanization go?
Yeah.
And what did you feel at that moment?
At that moment, I really feel sad about him when I just saw him for the last minute. Our hope is that we were able to just keep him for quite a long, but because he was just in pain, that was why we decided to euthanize him. Yeah, he was having a lot of pain. He was feeling a lot of pain. So I think it was.
Do you think he was telling you something before he died?
Yeah. If he could have been able to speak out, he could have been telling us a lot of stories. Yeah, it's just like whenever you stay with such amazing animals like this, you feel more emotionally and you learn a lot. So there is a message he was showing us, he was telling us. He was making us to tell all the people to conserve about them. Yeah.
扎卡利亚提到一个非常好的点，他说如果苏丹能够开口说话的话，
Zakaria mentioned a very good point. He said if Sudan had been able to talk, he would have told us more stories about his subspecies, and he would have told the world to put more efforts into preserving wild animals. It was a painful decision to euthanize him, but a necessary one, because towards the end he suffered from a great amount of pain, which was caused by age-related illnesses, and he wasn't able to walk or stand. It was hard to watch the process, and then they decided to euthanize him, which was a mercy decision.
And I also heard a lot of people say we're here to memorize Sudan, to memorize this magnificent creature, and we want to learn a lesson from Sudan's death. So can you tell us what lesson can we learn from Sudan's death? 我昨天呢，3月31号的时候，在这个阿尔佩杰塔自然保护区啊，是组织了一次特别的纪念。
On the 31st of March, on Al Pajeta Conservancy, there was a memorial held in the name of Sudan. More than 300 people, including representatives from the government, the minister and vice minister of the tourism department of Kenya, as well as keepers at the conservancy, and environmentalists and conservationists, as well as local people, came and paid their tribute. And discussions were held on the legacy of the demise of Sudan. And now, what can we learn from the death of Sudan?
And we don't have to kill them. So it means that we are the most dangerous creatures on the planet. If these rhinos or other species of animals, if they were to die of their natural cause, we could have still quite have a lot of animals.
扎卡利亚说呢，首先我们能学到第一点就是，其实对于动物来说啊
，Zakaria said first, animals are all very friendly and harmless. The most dangerous existence on the planet for animals are human beings. And if all animals had lived their life without artificial intervention or poaching, we would have been able to see more rhinos now.
So we are preaching a lot of conservation for the future generation, because if in future, if all these animals can be found in future, nothing else people can have experience. So we need to conserve for the future generations.
And okay, we have an audience asking, so how can we preserve this special species?
So first thing is to educate people to know the importance of these animals. And secondly, we need to act. We need to do something to save them. Right now, these animals, they won't have a chance anymore because we have lost all the males. So it means that they can't reproduce in a natural way. So we need to do the scientific method called in vitro fertilization. And we need to raise a lot of fund for making this procedure to be successful.
扎卡利亚提到啊，非常悲伤的一个现实呢，就是对于北方白犀牛来说，
Zachariah mentioned a saddening reality, which is for the northern white rhinos. They face functional extinction, which means that all the males have passed away and the extant females are no longer fertile. So natural reproduction is already out of the question, and the only possibility now is surrogacy and intravitreal fertilization. And now scientists are working very hard on extracting eggs from Fatu and Najin. And scientists already successfully extracted sperm from Sunni and Sudan. And a female southern white rhino can be the surrogate mother for the fertilized egg. And the friend that we see right now in the picture together with Fatu and Najin could be a perfect candidate as a surrogate mother. That is to say, Apajita Conservancy is putting tremendous efforts on bringing another northern white rhino into the world, but I was told that the difficulty is great and it has never been done before. The cost is also tremendous. It is estimated that it would amount to about 9 million RMB or 560 million RMB or 9 million US dollars. And now they are at the brink of extinction. They are facing a very bleak picture. But Zachariah and all keepers at the conservancy are not giving up, and they are resorting to all means to save the fate of the subspecies. And here I have a question to everyone watching the program right now. Imagine that you are the last human standing on Earth, and you are being watched and taken care of by keepers like Zachariah. And rangers with rifles are protecting you 24/7. How would you feel? Perhaps, as Zachariah said, human beings are cruel, and for animals, we are the most dangerous predators. Who are responsible for their extinction? I'm afraid the answer is us. And Zachariah, I have another question for you. For the two last remaining female rhinos, what's their life like?
Day-to-day activities about the two last northern females is that they are quite active early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, so mostly they keep grazing by themselves, as we can see them right now. So at some point, when the climate is getting too hot for them, they can decide to go under the shade for a rest until maybe afternoon hours. That's the second time they will be active.
Okay. How long is their nap usually?
They are quite active from as early as 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So from 9 to around 5, they spend their time resting under the tree shade.
5 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. 扎卡利亚介绍呢说，这个幸存的两个母性的北方白犀牛啊，在早上6点。
According to Zachariah, For the current surviving northern white rhino, every day from 6 to 9 a.m., they are very active in the conservancy. They will walk around and they will eat some grass. Starting by 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., in that period, because a lot of sunshine and hot temperature in the environment, they will find somewhere to take shelter and take a rest. At the beginning, they are lying on the ground. That means that they are taking the nap.
So they spend most of their time being active at night.
他们说到了傍晚5点之后呢，天气转凉，这些犀牛呢又重新变得活跃。
And he said that after 5 p.m., when the temperature cools down, the rhinos will become active once again. They will take a walk.
然后到了晚上入夜之后啊，为了保护这些犀牛，因为大家都知道。
And during the night, in order to protect the northern whites, we know that a lot of poachers are looking for the opportunities to steal their horns. So during the night hours, the northern whites will be brought into one enclosure to take the rest.
Like Najin, she's a bit calm, and her daughter Fatu, she's a little bit nervous. So each individual rhino has got different personalities.
Najin is nervous.
No, Najin is quite calm, but Fatu is sometimes quite nervous.
扎卡利亚说呢，每一头犀牛它的性格呢都不太一样。这个妈妈纳金。
Zakaria said that for each northern white, the personality is different. For the mother, Najin, she's more calm, and she's not making big movements all day round. But for Fatu, sometimes she may be a little bit upset and anxious, and also nervous in front of people.
扎卡利亚提到呢，就是大家在画面里看到的这3头啊犀牛，中间这头。
Zakaria mentioned also that you can tell the differences for between the southern and the northern one. And for the southern ones, their legs are straighter and longer. On the left and on the right, both are northern ones. Their legs are shorter and curved a little bit. For the mother Najin, she's a little bit bigger than her daughter Fatu.
White rhinos, they socialize themselves. You find a crush of 2 or even more than 2 white rhinos. Like the way we can see them, that is the normal behavior when they're just in the wild.
So they're not solitude animals.
Black rhinos are the one which are solitary. So white rhinos, they socialize themselves. You can find a crush of 2 or even more than 2.
扎卡利亚提到呢，就是白犀牛相对来说是更加
Zakaria said
性的动物，
that white rhinos,
社交的习性，它们经常呢会
they live in groups.
凑成一群呢，在
They socialize with each other.
犀牛呢相对来说更加的
Usually they will form their small groups by 2, by 3, and they eat together. And for black ones, they eat alone.
We are 10 keepers in total, but 6 of us are taking care of Najin and Fatu, and 4 of the group are just patrolling the other large enclosure.
扎卡利亚说呢，在这个阿尔佩杰塔自然保护区，总共是有10个
Zakaria said that in the Opajeta Conservancy in total, there are 10 special caretakers for the white rhinos, among which 6 take care, especially for Najin and Fatu. Another 4 people take care of other rhinos. And also, according to my knowledge, in the conservancy, there are also many other southern white rhinos. In total, more than 30 of them.
It's just, my work is just a caretaker. It's just a normal job like the other people, different personalities, different jobs. So with me, I am much okay with this, working with rhinos. So, and definitely, as you work with such amazing creatures, you can learn about animal behavior, and everything will work out. Yeah. So animals are friendly.
Do you think it's a rewarding job to you?
Sure, it's a rewarding job because it makes me to send a message of conservation to the whole world and also for the future generation.
扎卡利亚说呢，他虽然做的是一个就是陪伴犀牛
According to Zachariah,
照顾犀牛起居的工作，可能难度
he's doing the job of company for the rhinos. It's not that difficult, and at the same time, it's also a very rewarding job because he could witness the livelihood of the northern white rhinos in the wild, and by his career, he could also help to spread the information and knowledge to the whole world about the protection.
Yeah, poaching is still a serious challenge. It's still going on everywhere in the whole part of Kenya. So, but our team here in Olpecheta, they are doing their great job. They are doing a great job. No recent poaching, so our team is working very well.
扎克利亚说呢，在非洲很多国家，包括肯尼亚在内啊，盗猎呢还是一个非常
Zachariah mentioned that in many countries in Africa, including Kenya, poaching is still an outstanding problem and a challenge that everyone should face. However, in our Projector Conservancy, luckily, because people are armed and people work in groups, until now, we haven't suffered from one single event of poaching. And we'll also ask him the reason why we will put the two northern white rhino with another southern white rhino. For Najin, born in 1989, and she spent the period 1989 to 2009, 20 years in the zoo, and also for Fatu, 9 years in the zoo. They have lost a lot of natural behaviors. That's why the Conservancy has decided to put one southern white rhino with them, so the southern rhino could teach some basic natural behaviors to the two northern ones, how to restore their natural behaviors, how to sharpen their horn, etc.
Is it possible to interact with them?
Yeah, first of all, rhinos, they do have got very good sense of hearing and smell. So they recognize each and every keeper by different voice, different body smell. So we can still also do a bit of interaction with them. And before we just do interaction, you have to call out each individual by its name, and she can recognize your name by the voice. She can recognize you by the voice, and also as you get closer, she'll pick a scent of your smell. So,
扎卡利亚说呢，就是犀牛其实有非常灵敏的这个嗅觉和听觉。
Zachariah said that actually rhinos, they have good capabilities of listening and smelling, and they can recognize the smell and the voice of their caretakers, their keepers. If you want to interact with the rhinos, you could first of all call out their names, and then the rhino could tell whether you are a familiar friend or not. So let's have a try. We will call the mother Najin.
hello, Nai. Good girl. Hello, girl. Come on, Nai. Come on, Nai. Good girl.
所以纳金呢，虽然说没有像宠物狗一样这么冲过来，像扎卡利亚跑过来哈，但是可以看出它是有反应。它在吃草的时候不停的就是回头看你。
Not coming directly to us. However, she's making reactions because she's now eating the grass, but she has also turned back her head. And it's lunchtime for Najin.
We just need to do some either medication, in case if she have any problem, we have to call them to be aware that we are getting closer. And also, as we get closer, we keep stroking them. No need of tranquilizing them. So we used the simplest method of stroking.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many carekeepers can do that job?
Yeah.
One person job?
Not one person. We are 6 of us. We are 6 of us, and each an individual can do the same we are doing.
No, I mean, do you have to hold Najin still with all of you?
Yeah, all of us.
If
we
you
interact.
want to give medication.
Yeah, we interact, and also not only about her medication, because this one they have no problem so far. So because we are still feeding with supplements, they can recognize us. We call them when we get closer before we just give them the supplements. Yeah.
Do we have any supplement to give Najin?
Yes, we have.
OK，扎卡利亚说呢，就是现在这两头犀牛健康状况呢都非常的好，还不需要任何的
Zachariah
药物
said
治疗方面。
that currently the 2 northern whites are in good health. They do not need any medication. And in daily routine, the caretakers will accompany the 2 rhinos. And for the supplements, we will give them some special food. Now Zachariah will show us about the supplement.
加餐领过来。
Our assistant is bringing us the supplements for the rhinos.
"我们可以看到扎卡利亚拿了一个蓝色桶子，装了加餐的这个桶子，靠近
We could see that
纳金
Zachariah
的状态明显
is
就活跃起
holding
来了。他
a
能够通过这
a
个味
blue
道识别
bucket,
出这
and
个
suddenly
这个就是
Najin
今天的
becomes
点心。
much more active
胡萝卜。
because she could recognize the
在后面
smell
呢是
of the supplement
是套
of today.
南
It's
方白犀牛。
carrots. Following her is tall, the southern
下。
white rhino.
纳金呢是用它这个宽扁的嘴唇
Let's have a look at them.
靠近贴近胡萝卜，
Najin is now enjoying
塞
the
到嘴巴里
carrots
磨碎啊。在同时
with
间的
her
时候还有这个
square-lipped mouth.
小粒儿的东西哈，这个就是我们来看
At
一
the
下，
same time,
这个就是
there
它
are
的一
also
个
some
甘草粒儿。
grains.
我们贴近镜头看一下。
Let's have a look at it.
What is
Those are
this
the
palette
grains
made of?
of the grass. The pallet.
所以他说这个粒儿呢，其实是很多谷物碾碎之后做成的谷物粒儿。
The pallet is made of a lot of cereals,
这是女儿、
the
妈妈
crushed
还有这个
cereals.
女性朋友。
They could supply some trace elements for the
三头白犀
rhinos.
牛开心的吃今天的点心。
So the
Do you have to
mother,
clean their
Najin, and 3 other
No, it's just
northern whites.
just clean themselves naturally.
And people say rhinos are nature's landscape architect. So can you tell us what kind of role they play in the nature?
Yeah, I can say this. As you see them crossing by themselves, they just cut grass down more than one more. And they have got a squared or wide mouth designed for grazing. So they are really very good in grazing grass down. Yeah. And they also go to a same spot whenever they want to poo. So they just go to one dung pile. And it seems that they are very disciplined. In fact, they don't poo everywhere. So there is a certain point where they can poo.
扎卡利亚告诉我一个很有意思的事实呢，就是说这些犀牛啊，它们其实呢有固定的特色。
Zachariah told me a fun fact,
想象的就是走到哪儿拉到哪儿，他们会找到一个
which is the white rhinos actually have a designated spot for defecation. So they always defecate at the same spot. And for the giant white rhinos, they're often called the landscapers in the wild.
能够呢就是促进这一片
How so?
一个新生。
Well, white rhinos can help grass to regenerate faster, and their droppings in return can become fertilizers for the grass. And their large bodies sometimes bump into the branches in the forest, thus opening a path for smaller animals to run away from the predators. And on their skin there are quite a large amount of parasites and a type of bird named oxpeckard. And this morning I saw oxpeckard on the back of Najin, eating off the nutritions on his skin.
This is Fatu. Najin.
We see the skin is very crinkled. I'm not a keeper, so sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate them. Zachariah just told me to stroke the belly of the rhino, but you can only do that with the instructions of a keeper. So you can stroke him at the connecting line between the belly and the hind legs. It's very soft, and it's a very calming stroke that they like, but they have to be careful. After all, this is a rhino. And for the male white rhino, their weight goes all the way to 3.6 tons. So real giant. And the height can go all the way up to 1.8 meters. Because these two are female, so they're slightly smaller.
They can snort, or they can make wailing sound. That's trying to call out one another, and if a baby rhino is trying to call out for his mama, you can see, yeah.
好，那个扎卡利亚说呢，犀牛呢也会发出一些声音来促进相互之间的沟通。
Zachariah said rhinos also make sounds as a way of communication. And when baby rhinos call out for the mommy, he usually gives out a high-pitched call. And rhinos communicate sometimes with a sound similar to heavy breathing. And in the conservancy, I feel the harmony and the nature, and between nature and humans as I walk along on the grass, and I feel the harmony that we can have when we coexist peacefully with the animals on the planet. But the last male northern white rhino just left us. It is us who ended the history of over 50 million years of the northern white rhinos. Maybe some are less pessimistic because they think the intravital fertilization and other technologies can bring them back. But do we really have to go that far? Why do we have to always resort to the last means, which is not always a guarantee? When the first domino card falls, I don't think the last domino card to fall is as humans. And perhaps one day we will leave the planet ahead of some of the species. Saving wildlife is saving ourselves. And I think that is the legacy and a lesson that Zachariah and Sudan would like to leave us today. And on the 31st of March, at the memorial service, I talked to another keeper at the conservancy, and he told me that if northern white rhino becomes extinct, it is a shame to the human species because we are the culprit of the crime. We often associate extinction with poachers, which sounds as if that we are completely innocent, but we should question the fact that we never took any action when poaching was happening. Are there any reasons behind that? Perhaps we are also responsible for the poaching and the demise of the subspecies, and the death of Sudan aroused worldwide attention, and now he is buried together with another 19 rhinos. Their tombstones sit quietly next to a very large tree. And that tree is a wattle that is seen as a sacred tree. Perhaps in the eyes of the animals, elephants and other animals always circumvent the tree when they walk past it. And the subspecies is slipping away from the earth. And I'm afraid that we will forget what is happening to the subspecies, and from thousands of rhinos a decade ago to the remaining 2 white rhinos here in the conservancy. I hope that we can remember what we have done, and we can remember the animals who have already left us. And if possible, we hope that more people can come to the game reserves in Africa and really see how beautiful the wildlife is in nature. We are having the program in memory of Sudan, of the beautiful subspecies of white rhinos. It is also a wake-up call to us as to what we can do and what will we be doing before the next species becomes extinct. How can we avoid another tragedy of this kind?
I would like to have a message from you. What would you like to say to all the audience that are watching the 2 girls and the Southern white? What would you like to say to them?
What I can say is that look at the 2 remaining now. The 2 northern females remaining on the whole planet.
Yes.
This means that they didn't die because of their natural causes. We are the major cause of their extinction. So we need to learn something, because these animals, they didn't get extinct because of their natural causes. We are the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And let us stop buying and let us stop poaching.
扎卡利叶的话其实非常的朴实，但又切中了要点。他说：“看一眼这2头仅存的北方白犀牛。”
Zachariah gave us a very plain but a key message. Just take a look at the last 2 remaining female and northern white rhinos. They probably are the most lonely mother and daughter. And they're here because we have damaged the fate of the rhinos. What we can do is to stop the purchase and merchandise of the rhino horns and stop the poaching. And we should change the way that we see the wildlife and change our consumption. Perhaps what we save is more than 1 life, but perhaps an entire species or even the future of the planet. And that is the end of the program today. I hope you stay tuned to the fate of the northern white rhinos when we bring more programs to you later. Thank you very much.